we want health. We want prosperity. We want freedom. We want diversity of thought and opinion. These things are essential to human health.
So if you were the benevolent dictator of the world,
Yeah.
and you could change 3 things about the way we approach health, what would they be?
From a policy standpoint.
It can be anything. It could be anything.
Yeah. Well, I think the GRAS laws, generally recognized as safe, is problematic when it comes to, there's thousands of ingredients. I've seen some statistics like 10,000 additives in the American food supply versus in the EU, it's 400 different additives. So we have a significant amount, thousands of additives that are generally recognized as safe, we are seeing that's why we have such an epidemic rise of autism, autoimmune problems.
How do those
metabolic
get
and fertility
passed
issues.
through those GRAS, something being
loophole.
considered as GRAS?
It's a loophole in the law. So hopefully these are things that these politicians, these doctors that are now in politics, and politicians and food lawyers, and I talked to a lot of them last night, food lawyers and food policy experts that are really going to close these loopholes and make our food safer for our families.
Yeah. Wow. They need to go revisit every single one of those.
Yeah. 10,000.
Okay.
Let's go through all of it.
Yeah, and make a tighter thing for new ones coming in.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say really reform GRAS. I would say, if we're talking pure policy, I think that we should quit, start reforming the subsidies towards these monocrops, like the wheat and the sort of soy and these genetically modified glyphosate sprayed crops. I think that removing subsidies for these crops would do tremendous good for the American food supply. I think that looking at the food stamp program, they don't call it now, the STAMP program.
Yeah, like whatever it is.
The SNAP. Sorry, so the SNAP program is sort of the rebranded version of it. But the food assistance program, I think that taking junk food, processed foods out of that, you are preying on people that there's no informed consent to go for these foods, that we feed chronic disease for these people, and then we pay for their chronic disease management. So this is some big policy things that I don't know if I would say if I was a dictator, but if I was...
I say always benevolent.
Benevolent. If I was a benevolent dictator that I could just wave a magic wand and change American food policy, those are some ways that we would start. But then look, I think that getting special interests, this is a major one, is getting special interest out of food research, health research, food research, pharmaceutical research, and really having diversity of thought as far as the research is concerned, having an ability for innovative, out-of-the-box ideas to come forward and not subjugate or suppress information when it's inconvenient. So things like peptides and alternative therapies and psychedelics and nutrient density when it comes to food really can run wild and free, and people can have true informed consent. Because to have true informed consent when it comes to somebody's health, we need to know the real evidence-based benefits. What are the relative side effects, if you talk about pharmaceuticals, for example, and the choice to make what's right for you. But we don't have any of that right now. We have cherry-picked data, we have propaganda, we have suppressed information, and then how are we supposed to make good information as a citizen on our food and drugs and choices that we make in our life? So those are some things, big things, but I think important things.
Big things. Let's cross our fingers. So last night, I will say, when I was not out at the Maha inaugural ball, I was suffering a little bit from FOMO, but literally the person who represents the other side of that and having great boundaries and the whole JOMO, joy of missing out movement, is you.
Yeah, I talk a lot about it.
Yes. So I've always had big, mad respect for you on that. A lot of your Instagram posts do that. And I'm like, okay, reminder, JJ, reminder. Because it's been a little bit of a internal struggle. With
Hey, it's JOMO comes easy for someone like me because I'm more of an introverted homebody type of guy. where I have to check myself and push myself out there a little bit, because it was very much easy for, like, I was telling my wife as I was ready to fly to DC, I really just want to stay home. I don't really want to go. And I pushed myself to go. But you're right. Most of the culture is not like me, where we're hyper connected, we're super involved, and we're struggling with burnout. And it's that hyper connectivity on social media, and it's always go, go, go. And all in our own way, cultivating some joy of missing out. The antithesis, the antidote of FOMO is good for our nervous system, right? It's supportive of that parasympathetic, which I can tell you clinically, and you know this, but like a lot of people are dealing with dysregulation of their neuroimmunoendocrine axis, their nervous system, their immune system, their hormones, their endocrine system. So JOMO is I call it a metaphysical meal. Like, we do look at food as medicine. We look at biohacks and supplementation on like the physiological side, but that psychological side, these mind-body meals, if you will, that bringing some acts of stillness, some healthy boundaries with ourselves, is sometimes the best medicine.